E anche in questo caso io credo.
And also, in this case, I think providence plays a.
Hi, everyone. For most of the world, Andrea Bocelli was always just one thing, a voice. A voice that felt timeless, untouched by scandal, untouched by the chaos that follows fame. He sang and people listened. That was it. Or so it seemed. But behind that voice is a story so painful it can break your heart. A life shaped by darkness, loss, and moments that almost stole everything from him. From the day doctors said he should never be born, to the moment he lost his sight forever, to the quiet battles he never shares, Andrea Bocelli has carried grief in silence. This isn't just the story of success, it's the story of survival. And once you hear what he endured when the world wasn't watching, it may leave you in tears. Andrea Bocelli was born on September 22, 1958, in a small rural area near Lajatico in Tuscany, Italy. His parents, Alessandro Bocelli and Eddie Bocelli, were told something devastating before he ever took his first breath. Andrea was born with congenital glaucoma, a condition that severely impaired his vision from birth. Doctors advised his mother not to continue the pregnancy. They believed his life would be filled with suffering. She refused. Years later, Andrea would say that decision shaped everything: his beliefs, his resilience, his understanding of life itself. For him, it was never political, it was personal, it was survival. Andrea grew up on his family's farm, surrounded by vineyards, machinery, and the quiet rhythms of rural life. The Bocelli family sold farm equipment and made wine. Nothing about his surroundings hinted at sold-out arenas or world stages. Fame did not live there. Ambition did not shout there. Life was simple, grounded, and slow. But music arrived early. As an infant, music was the only thing that could calm him. At just 6 years old, he began taking piano lessons. What started as instruction quickly turned into obsession. He explored sound instinctively, teaching himself the flute, saxophone, trumpet, trombone, guitar, and drums. Music wasn't a hobby, it was how he understood the world around him. A turning point came through his nanny, Oriana, who gave him a record by legendary tenor Franco Corelli. The moment Andrea heard that voice, something shifted. It stopped him cold. From that moment on, the idea of becoming a tenor took root. By the age of 7, he could recognize famous voices instantly, memorizing tone, phrasing, and emotion with remarkable precision. Then, at 12 years old, everything changed in a single violent moment. During what should have been an ordinary football match, a ball struck Andrea Bocelli directly in the eye. The impact destroyed what little vision he had left. Panic followed. Doctors rushed to save his sight and turned to a last desperate method, using leeches, an outdated medical practice that today sounds almost unbelievable. It failed. When the treatment ended, Andrea was left in complete darkness. His world went silent and black, not gradually, but all at once. For many, that moment would have broken the spirit. For Andrea, it did the opposite. Blindness did not weaken him, it forged him. He refused to live cautiously or be treated as fragile. He learned to read music in Braille, memorizing notes by touch instead of sight. He continued playing the piano, letting sound become his vision. Even more striking, he refused to surrender his physical freedom. He rode bicycles at full speed. He rode horses without fear. He chased danger, independence, and the rush of movement, describing himself later as fearless and unchanged by blindness. And through it all, he kept singing. Music became more than passion. It became purpose. At just 14, Andrea performed his first concert in a small village near his home. That same year, he won his first competition singing O Sole Mio at the Maria d'Oro Festival. It wasn't a loud victory, but it was powerful. It confirmed what he already knew deep inside. His life had a direction, and nothing, not even darkness, would stop him. Still, he chose practicality. In 1980, Andrea finished secondary school and enrolled at the University of Pisa to study law. To support himself, he sang evenings in piano bars, small rooms, dim lights, long nights. Those performances paid his bills, sharpened his voice, and quietly built his confidence. It was there, in 1987, that he met Enrica Cenzati, the woman who would later become his first wife. Andrea completed his law degree and worked briefly as a court-appointed lawyer. On paper, his life looked stable, respectable, predictable. But music never loosened its grip. It waited. And in 1992, everything changed. Italian rock star Zucchero was working on a song called Miserere and needed a tenor voice for a demo intended for Luciano Pavarotti. Andrea was brought in quietly, almost as a placeholder. When Pavarotti heard the recording, he shocked everyone. Instead of replacing Andrea, he insisted the song be recorded with him. That decision changed Andrea's life forever. Miserere spread across Europe effortlessly. It didn't sound manufactured. It sounded lived in, honest. In 1993, Andrea joined Zucchero on a European tour. Night after night, audiences watched him step forward and sing Nessun Dorma. The reaction was unmistakable. This wasn't novelty. This was presence. Soon after, Caterina Caselli heard Andrea sing at a private gathering and signed him to Sugar Music in Milan. By December 1993, Andrea stood on the stage of the Sanremo Music Festival, winning the newcomers category with the highest score ever recorded. Days later, he made his classical debut at Teatro Regio. In 1994, Andrea returned to Sanremo, this time in the main competition, and won again. His debut album reached platinum status within weeks. Success came fast, but it didn't feel rushed. Each step followed naturally. Then came Con te partirò. At Sanremo 1995, the song placed fourth. No trophy, no headlines, but the song refused to fade. It traveled beyond Italy, becoming the best-selling single in Belgium's history. Fate intervened again when Sarah Brightman heard the song playing in a restaurant. She sought Andrea out. Together, they transformed it into Time to Say Goodbye. Recorded with the London Symphony Orchestra, it topped the German charts for 14 weeks and sold millions worldwide. At that moment, Andrea Bocelli became global. He never chased trends. He sang opera, pop, and sacred music with equal conviction. Andrea Bocelli performed everywhere, from the Vatican to the Kennedy Center, from Madison Square Garden to the White House, without apology or explanation. In 2000, after his father's death, grief deepened Andrea's artistry. That depth reached the world in 2020 when, on Easter Sunday, he sang alone inside Milan Cathedral during lockdown. Controversy was rare, from Donald Trump's inauguration rumors to his calm defense of Placido Domingo. Privately, Andrea shared life with Enrica Cenzati, raising Amos and Matteo Bocelli, before finding lasting partnership with Veronica Berti. Together, they built a family rooted in music, reflection, and love. In 2024, Andrea celebrated 30 years of his career with concerts in Laiatico, surrounded by generations of artists and loved ones. And now, at 67, he prepares to headline the 2026 FIFA World Cup final draw at the John F. Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C., alongside Robbie Williams, Nicole Scherzinger, and Village People. With over 75 million records sold, 15 studio albums, and an estimated net worth of $100 million, the numbers are undeniable. But numbers were never the real story. The real story is a blind child who was never meant to live, a voice that never needed to shout, a man who walked through fame without losing his soul. And when Andrea Bocelli sings again, the world will listen, because some voices don't follow history, they become part of it. If this story moved you, like the video, share it with someone who loves music, and subscribe for more powerful stories. Thanks for watching.